Joining me now to discuss another issue of this assassination attempt is security specialist Will Geddes. Will, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Will, many questions being asked about the security operation around Trump at this rally and how a shooter was allowed to get, let's face it, very close.
Yeah, Dawn, it's a really interesting one. I mean, in terms of obviously the security operation, it wasn't great. And I think anybody could draw that conclusion in so much as it was a reasonably small area within which the rally was being held. And one of the things that any security team should be obviously taking is what we call an overwatch position, which is where they're at an elevated position. They can look for any threats that A, may be in the crowd, but B, could be located at equal elevation. So it could be someone in a nearby building or some sort of structure which would give them a vantage point, especially for someone who might be a sniper. Now, the one thing that the Secret Service is usually very good at is creating a security bubble around their principal, and particularly someone who's a former president. That would have involved also what we call a CAT team, or a counter-attack team. And this particular group would involve fellow snipers, would involve individuals which were fully armed and very extensively armed to be able to repel and to combat any possible threat. Now, the fact is that we're hearing various reports, and that's one of the things that we have to take, as Ray was saying, we have to either take with a large pinch of salt, or we have to sort of verify a great deal more, is that the individual, that the assassin, was actually observed going up onto this roof for some time before he actually took the shots against the former president.
Yeah, we had sort of like, eyewitnesses talking to various TV channels, and they pointed out the shooter on the roof. And yet, if you look at the clips, it does seem that the security detail, who had their own rifles on the roof, was surprised when a shot was fired.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it should have been interrogated immediately. Again, the Secret Service will be working with the local PD or police department to ensure that they're working together to combat any threats. I mean, you would not have a large enough Secret Service and security detail to combat everything at a rally, so you will rely on local police. And some of the bystanders apparently have gone on record and saying that they alerted police officers that were near them of this individual. And why no action was taken is very questionable. But beyond that, the Secret Service counter-attack team should have obviously taken the shot well in advance.
And Will, many people are asking the question, many viewers are asking the question, is like, was it necessary to kill the attempted assassin? Wouldn't it have been better to try and keep him alive and to interview him to find out what the thought process was behind him attempting to take President Trump's life?
Well, yes, it's always a critical decision as to what one should do. Obviously, apprehending the individual allows one to garnish a heck of a lot more intelligence about what their motivations were. Were there any other parties that could potentially be working with them or alongside them, or they'd be were colluding with? But the fact of the matter is that this particular individual, this attempted assassin, was using an automatic or semi-automatic weapon. I'm gauging that it was semi-automatic, but I would guess that it was either an AR-15 or an M16, for example, which means that obviously it would have a considerable amount of ammunition, and there were some 6 to 8 shots which were fired before, obviously, one of the Secret Service team members sniped him off the roof. Now, in those instances, you have to take that split-second decision. Do you allow this individual to continue to endanger other parties, or do you try and neutralize the threat as quickly as possible? And I think, in many regards, although not ideal, their decision was the best one.
And Will, quickly, we are running out of time. Just one final question for you. Watching the scenes just there where the personal guards around Trump stood in front of him, bundled around him. I mean, are they literally there to take a bullet for him if necessary?
Absolutely, yes, without question. I mean, that is their job, to be a human shield to their principal. Anybody who is in close protection, whether it be governmental or whether it be in the private sector, they will be responsible, obviously, for protecting their principal by whatever means. What was evident was that, Donald Trump had some training, because as soon as the shots rang out and he realized that he had been scuffed, from what we understand, to his ear, he went to the ground first. So before the Secret Service could even get to him. But again, they should have kept him down. They should have kept him low. They should have moved him out of the area, or off the X, as we would call it, as quickly as possible. So the fact that he actually remained there could have been other shooters So, there's a lot of lessons to be learned maybe within the Secret Service as to what their response was.
And indeed, questions to be answered. Thank you very much, Will Geddes, a security expert, for joining us, explaining the security aspect of what happened overnight in America.